The Fantasmagorium is proud to present Shotguns, Cyborgs, and CyberDyne. 7 years after the world was terrified by Arnold Schwarzenegger as a relentless killer robot from the future, the creative team reunited to create the unthinkable, a film that would make the world want to hug that unstoppable killing machine. Tonight, we are discussing one of the best sequels of all time, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. My name is Scotty R37. Kat will say no problemo. And of course, Steve will say hasta la vista, baby. How you doing, Kat?
Good.
Good.
I watched this movie again today. I probably haven't seen it in 7 years. And damn, it's a good movie.
I know, right? Which version did you watch?
The special edition. I don't know what the differences are between either one. I just watched the special edition.
See, I got 3 versions anyway. I got 3 versions on my Blu-ray. I got the theatrical cut. Then I got the extended edition, probably the one that you watched. And then there's the super duper extended edition with reincorporated scenes. So they put it on, they reincorporate, you know, when the T-1000 is glitching out, like his hand turns all like crazy. It turns the yellow and black caution colors.
Yeah.
Like that's the super special edition, apparently, according to the Blu-ray.
Okay, yeah, that's the version I watched.
Super special edition buddies. So, yeah, no, this movie was released on July 3rd of 1991, July 3rd weekend, and it went into production approximately, well, July 4th, but on the July 3rd.
Yeah,
and
the July 4th weekend is what it's called, not the July 3rd weekend.
I'm Canadian. I really don't care about your messed up systems. We do it on the 1st. Why? Because we're number one. And so, but it was released on the July 4th weekend of 1991, and it was put into production approximately 20 months before, and they were basically rushing towards a deadline. And so what we got is incredible for what they did in such a short period of time. I also want to welcome Cinema Go. Ben, welcome.
Hey guys, thanks, Kat, for the invite.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm off camera right now. Things are kind of a mess. I hope that's cool.
That's totally cool.
I'd love to talk TT with you guys.
Oh man, when was the last time you saw it, Ben?
Probably about a year ago. But me and John and Mark went and saw the 3D release they did. I think in 2017. Man, it was good because it wasn't a showcase of 3D, like, hey, here's something coming at you. It was just so crisp and clean, and like it gave a new dimension to it. And I think that's what Cameron wanted. So it didn't have those 3D moments, you know, the, hey, look, the T-1000's gonna shoot his the sword hand through the elevator door. It was just like beautiful, and it was a completely different color. It was great. So that was, you know, that was the last. I mean, I saw it in the theater when I was a kid, probably 5 times. But yeah, it was great. And yeah, I watch it usually annually, both of the first 2, because I love them so much. But yep.
No, that's amazing. So we're all caught up on our special editions. Actually, I think on the Blu-ray, I don't know. Do you have a 4K Steelbook, Kat?
No, I don't even have it on Blu-ray. I just have the old
wow.
DVD that came in the metal. Like the case wasn't metal, but the slip cover was metal.
Yeah.
You better believe it's metal. It's hardcore metal.
It is hardcore metal.
I forgot
it's
to get
Guns
it out.
N' Roses.
Yeah.
I got that for my birthday. I got a couple copies of that for my birthday in 2003. But no, I never did upgrade to Blu-ray. I had multiple opportunities to get the 4K Steelbook, but I heard everybody complaining about the transfer, saying it looked really pasty and bad. But I've
heard that too. Yeah.
But I never checked out any comparisons to see if that was actually true. So I probably should have.
I think it is, just because I've heard so many people say it's not great. And I think they said that about Aliens and True Lies as well. But
something about AI upscaling.
Yeah.
So I'm not 100% sure, but I do recall over some of the controversies, but I thought that this was about The Abyss. Maybe not T2, I forget. But they said, James Cameron said, well, maybe they should stop counting frame rates and get out of their mom's basements. And it's like, whoa, Jim.
He is bipolar. He makes no sense, because sometimes he stands for the tech and the highest quality of anything, and then the next interview, he's talking shit on all that stuff. He makes no sense sometimes, man.
Yeah, well, he's
Yeah,
got.
I still love him.
ego.
He's one of the best directors that's ever lived in my
Well, I
opinion.
think I think it's an ego thing. It's God, how dare somebody criticize me?
Well, Jim Cameron with an ego? The hell you say?
Yeah,
Yeah. But before we
Don't you guys remember? I'm the king of the world.
Yeah,
Woo!
but I liked that.
Oh,
I thought
so
that was endearing.
That was cringe, man.
I liked it. Well, also Jim Cameron, he was originally from Canada, so I gotta have his back.
He was a truck driver before he got his first major sort of. I think he was an effects artist back in the 70s, but he was a truck driver to make a living first, which is really cool. It's cool to see that like guys like that are thought in such a high regard, like did have a Joe job at one point. Yeah.
Well, and that's one of the things that Joe Morton says. He's like the guy who plays Miles Dyson. He says the reason that Jim Cameron is such a powerful director is because he's probably done everything on the production floor. He's written, produced, done effects, done set dressing.
He's done DP
everything.
Work. Yeah, he does a lot of DP work. Yeah, he's done editing. He's done a lot of editing. Yeah, he basically. There's a story in Piranha 2. They basically like locked him out of that production after he went and shot it, and he like on his own dime flew to wherever they shot it and broke into the editing bay and re-edited parts of the movie like in the middle of the night.
And apparently, according to Eugene Bird, he had sex with Linda Hamilton and saw the Titanic, so we have to cut him a break.
I agree with this. I agree with this wholeheartedly. I
would
do
have
want
sex with Linda Hamilton even now.
Well, you can watch Terminator 1.
Eugene Bird says when he got back from the Gulf War, he asked his nephews what they wanted as a gift. T2, they shouted. What the frick is T2? Kids were crazy for that shit.
Oh yeah, man. When this movie came out, I think I was in grade 9, and I saw it in theater.
No, you couldn't have been in grade 9 because I was in the 7th grade, and I'm older than you.
Oh no, you're right. I'm sorry, I'm getting my teachers mixed up. No, I was so I would have been in the 7th grade, and I saw it in theaters. And is this rated R?
Duh, of course it is.
So anyway, I was 15, and I went to go see an R-rated movie. And then right after getting out of the theater, I asked my dad, who had taken me to the movie, I said, can we get that on VHS? Can we get that on video? And he was like, I'll get it for you for Christmas, because neither did he know how home video releases worked in 1991. So.
Well, remember, it took about a year for it to come out. Yeah.
But and that Christmas, that was how I saw the original Terminator in its entirety. My dad bought me the VHS for T1.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I saw T2 before I saw T1 because of the age I was at. I didn't know what it was. So when I saw the first one, I'll admit I was a little underwhelmed back then. Obviously, now it's a masterpiece of like low budget sci-fi action, but because I was comparing it to 2, I was like, eh. It's like if you see Aliens and then you see Alien,
Well, Alien's a better movie, though.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, there's more going on, and it's higher, it's like crazy, and then one's more subdued and kind of quiet. But yeah.
Well, and the funny thing is that I was so happy because I knew the Terminator was a bad guy. Like, that's what I had heard, that the Terminator was a bad guy. And I didn't see trailers or anything like that.
He was a bad guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when I went to go see it, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. I really like this. But I thought he was going to be a bad guy, but I still loved the movie. And then when there was zero
shots of the T-1000 in any of the promotional material. I mean, there were shots of Robert Patrick in police uniform, but not him as a villain, because they were promoting it, to save the surprise, obviously, that Arnie is the good guy this time, but which is genius.
Slasher Fred said this movie feels like a reboot of the original because it opens with a future war and it was the same plot involving a cyborg being sent through time to change history.
Slasher Fred, you're absolutely correct. The plot and the beats of this movie are nearly identical to Terminator 1. No argument whatsoever.
Well, I would argue that Sarah Connor is a damsel in distress in part 1, where she is an action hero in part 2. There's 2 Terminators instead of 1 Terminator. John Connor is alive instead of not born yet. Kyle Reese isn't in it. CyberDyne system is shown instead of talked about. There's a lot of differences, but
Yeah,
I know
but
I know what people mean when they say that, but it's a very different movie.
Yeah, but the beats, the way it's it starts with the future war, then we get introduced to our characters, then we have a confusion as to who's the good guy and the bad guy, then it is revealed and it's shocking to all because anyway, I guess. And
right.
Then there's the chase, well, one of the chases, but basically the getting out of the mental hospital is the same as getting out of the police station. And so on and so forth. Like I could continue. I didn't prepare for this broadcast about Terminator 2.
I find them very different movies, but I'm not going to argue the beats. You're right, Scotty, but there's just so much different situations and things going on in both movies.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I get it.
But I also, this is a thing that I think happens with Jim Cameron's sequels. Like I think that he really remade Alien beat wise.
What?
But he did. I do.
He did. Scotty and I went through that, and it's like beat for beat. It's very much the same story with the same stuff happening. It's just that they added more aliens and more characters.
Well, and they do. They transpose the characters.
I don't remember the Colonial Marines.
No. And I'm not speaking specifically and literally. I'm just
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Editing wise, beats story wise. Yeah. First,
even how they kill the aliens exactly the same.
Yeah,
and how the
ending, obviously. The ending, obviously, because that's the only way you can kill them in space is by, dropping them out into space.
But this time,
they
made Jonesy a little girl. Anyway.
Hey, $20 to Fantasmagorium Show. That's awesome.
It is. It is a Wii controller doing a woot woot. So that's
Eugene Bird. We do a show every Wednesday. If you want to come by and drop a super sticker our way. He didn't even say anything either. Super sticker. I've never gotten one of those. Never even heard of one.
Slasher Fred said this movie came out the same year as the classic Nickelodeon series Salute Your Shorts, and Danny Cooksey, who played the bully, played one of John Connor's friends. His friend who takes off
redhead
on
with the mullet.
Dude, I was gonna say, Kat, you were younger, obviously, but when I was a boy and I saw this movie for the first time in the theater, I was in Orange County, which is just LA adjacent. Everyone was dyeing their hair red, cutting it into a mullet, and wearing a jean jacket with the sleeves cut off because that kid was so fucking boss.
Yeah.
I do remember that show that he was talking about. Yes, I remember that from the early
that kid was around. Yeah, he was
around.
Like a child actor. Yeah.
Oh, here's a Gunda Wundelbaum. Hello. He says,
hey, Gunda.
I saw this when I was 11 years old with my grandma. She hadn't been to the movie since the 60s. To say she was blown away is an understatement. Still my favorite movie-going experience.
Yes, sir. That's delightful.
My grandmother asked me in 1993, do you want to go to the movies? I said, sure. She said, what do you want to see? I said, well, Cliffhanger looks really good. And we saw Cliffhanger, and she was so upset when we left the theater because she was like very like no cussing, no violence, blah blah blah, but she let me see it and we watched it, and she didn't talk to me the whole rest of the day, and I was like, oh, it was awesome, wasn't it, Grandma? Like, wasn't it great when John Lithgow like killed those innocent people?
Oh, Eugene Bird said, is this the one where the orderly licks Linda Hamilton's face? It took me it took me 20 years to forget that, and you reminded me of it again.
Well, it's because it gets a lot more into it. Like there's I don't know who wrote the novelization, but I did my book report that year on the novelization for Terminator 2. So my English teacher liked me. And yeah, I drew like a comic adaptation of it. I don't have it.
The orderly licking her face?
No, I didn't do that play. I basically just freehanded. I like wrote my report and then drew the major explosions and gunfights. And so yeah, they passed me. But the thing is that I had to read the novelization. They said, okay, you can do this, but you have to read the novelization. And it was available in the library for some reason. And so I did it. And the book really gets into like, there are two truckers that you see at the end of the movie, the one in the liquid nitrogen tanker, and the landscape guy in the shitty truck. They're supposed to be at the biker bar at the beginning of the movie, or at least that's how it happens in the novelization. And then at the end, you find out through the course of there are interstitial little things where they go back to the guy who was stabbed by the T-1000 at the end, and he apparently was a pedophile.
Well, I mean,
in the
that's all
novelization,
peripheral bullshit. Like,
it is peripheral, but it's weird to put in the novelization. I want to say it was Alan Dean Foster.
No, it's good to know that like the innocent people we see get killed weren't so innocent.
Yeah,
but it doesn't matter in the movie.
No, it doesn't at all. I just wanted to say it's an oddity.
Hey, Lemon Pie.
Lemon.
Hey, Lemon.
Oh, Eugene Bird says that Cinema Gulp. I saw you on Jill on camera for half an hour. You deserve a super sticker. Eugene Bird also says, and if something gets upset, you say chill out, or you can do combinations. Thinks chill out, dickwad. See, you're getting it.
Yes.
Chill out, dickwad. Well, he did say chill out again in Batman and Robin, I think, or more than
once.
Chill. Everybody chill.
Slasher Fred says the line "Have you seen this boy?" is such a great line.
Yeah. Oh, and they do it in Wayne's World 2. It's such a great cameo, but his hair's all wrong because he doesn't have the same haircut. Still a great cameo.
Gene says, "Police? How many? All of them?"
I think.
No, that's Slasher Fred wants to know if we ever saw the 3D version at Universal Studios. It was such a great.
I did. Yeah, I did. I saw the year that it went away in 2012. I wanted to see it so bad, and I found out they were taking it away. So I had a girlfriend at the time, and we went to Universal Studios and we watched it. It's really the true sequel to T2, even though it's very short, but it has, Edward Furlong's in it, and he's, 3 years older. So it looks like a good, continuation of the character. And it's basically just him and Arnold Schwarzenegger on a motorcycle, sort of like in the future, dodging Terminators and, the flying drone Terminators that they have in the future. And then it goes to like a CyberDyne thing. And that's where it turns live action, where like, stunt people come out as the characters. And you have your Sarah Connor there. And it gets a little hokey at the end because the ending villain is like a T-1000, but it turns into like a squid with a bunch of things. But it's really, really fun. I thought it was the
T-1 million.
I'm so glad I got to see it right before they got rid of it.
I remember seeing ads about that a lot, and I think it was there. Was it there in '97? Because that's when I first went to Universal Studios.
I think that's I don't know how long it was there for, but 2012 was when they were disposing of it. So I was like, we have to go see it right now. I've held off on this too long.
Oh, for sure. I think it's available on YouTube.
Probably, yeah.
But by no means as good as the actual experience.
No, but you should watch it though, just for the story, the short story of it,
Slasher Fred said this movie has a Wizard of Oz feeling to it because you have the Terminator getting a heart and learning about human emotion.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah,
I think that's also what helps elevate this sequel, because one, nobody thought there was ever going to be a sequel to Terminator. It was not set up for a sequel. And yes, to Slasher Fred's point earlier, it has the same basic plot, but it's elevated because not only instead of a human being sent back in time to protect, instead of going after Sarah, it's going after her son. But instead of a human being sent back in time, it's a Terminator being sent back in time to protect him. And the fact that it looks exactly the same as the one who tried to kill Sarah adds a whole other dynamic to that weird relationship when they go to break her out. And the fact that it does learn human emotions and becomes almost like this cool uncle or something to the kid, almost like that she's watching how John's bonding with him more than anybody else. Because at one point in the film, she says that oh, he's never going to get mad at him. He's never going to lose his temper or hit him or get drunk or anything like that. And I think nobody was expecting the movie to have that much heart and character development.
That's the surprise of the movie, is the heart of the movie.
Yeah, and I think that's the mistake all the sequels made, is that they responded. They're like, oh, look at the overwhelmingly positive response to T2. Let's just keep redoing that every single time. And it's like, well, no, you did it once. That it was because it was such a reinvention of the first movie, such a new, fresh take on it. That
they never should have brought Arnold back in the same role that he was. Because the thing is like everyone thinks everybody loved him in T2. He's, he has funny lines because he doesn't know what he's talking about, blah, blah, blah. There's all these funny quibs. So even like starting with part 3, we got to make him funny, like a fish out of water. He's a robot, so he's got to be talked to the hand and all that stuff. It's like, no, they should have brought it back to basics, where if you have to do a 3, which they never should have done, bring him back to almost like maybe he doesn't know what he's there for, or I don't know. There's a million avenues they could have taken for that, but you're right. Like part 2, the heart of that movie, like when Sarah is doing that inner monologue and just saying like, John's never had a father. This is the closest thing. Like watching him with the Terminator, it's like amazing. It's like you think she's thinking about Kyle at that moment. Like, man, how cool would it have been? But it also begs the question, if they send back Kyle Reese in the first one and a Terminator back in the second one, why didn't they just send a Terminator back in the first place? Maybe because they needed to explain to Sarah what was going on.
Because the first one starts in the year 2029, and that's when they get sent back in time. This one is set in 1996, and they mentioned that Arnold mentions that he came from 35 years in the future.
Oh, you're right.
It's a couple years later, so it's like
they started capturing Terminators and reprogramming them. Right. Yeah, I forgot.
So that would be 2 years after being sent back in time, and the first movie was that. But
yes, you're right.
But here's a nice observation that he made. Slasher Fred says, this movie is action adventure, where in the original it was more of a horror movie. Yeah, and James Cameron did the same thing with Alien, because Alien's a horror movie. Aliens is action adventure.
Yeah, the first movie's a slasher movie, basically. Yeah.
But yeah, it's the same kind of thing. It's like, let's take the horror aspect that Cameron did with the first Terminator and have it be much more action packed. And man, the pacing and the editing, just firing at all cylinders.
It's amazing. It's when I agree with people that call T2 a perfect movie, I don't say that literally from a story standpoint. It's technically perfect. Like the editing, the shot selection, just man, it never, and John says this because John's favorite director of all time is James Cameron. And, when we did our First of the Best, where we talk about our favorite director's first films, John said that like there's something about Cameron where when he's shooting action, he always knows to go back to the characters and give them a moment of like reaction. So it's not just beat, Michael Bay, action. You get these like subtle moments of the characters reacting to what's going on. So you're keeping pace, not just with the story and the action scene, but with what the characters are feeling. And I love that about Cameron's. I don't know if he really does that in the Avatar movie. Who the fuck knows? Everybody looks the same in those movies, but
yeah, that's kind of true. Kind of like Smurfs. But one of the things that I discovered today, there was sort of a retrospective. I think Joe Morton said it was 26 years after the release of the film, so that puts it at like 2017, around the release of the 3D. And he was. So that's the era of the documentary, but it is Brad Fiedel. Is that the name of the composer?
I believe so. I don't have the name off the top of my head.
And he does mention, he says that he was scoring the aqueduct chase scene, and the way he had approached it, and he sort of sets it up and says, I was waiting for another pat on the back like I had for every other piece of music that I had brought to Jim. And I played it for him, and he was like, this is absolutely wrong. Fuck this. And it was like, well, why? What's wrong? And he's like, you scored this scene to the sound of the truck. And what I've envisioned this as is it's a rat in a maze that cannot get out. So I want you to score it from the kid's perspective. I want it to feel like the chase is dangerous.
Instead
and
instead of from the perspective of the villain, which would be
I'm coming to get you. I think that's just brilliant. Like in terms of what he saw, and as John agrees, and as I'm sure we all do, is just that it is perfectly paced, and he really tells the audience how to feel about the story that he's telling.
No, James Cameron is, 99.99% right when it comes to his films that he's doing. It's just sometimes the way that he goes about it. But that's what like geniuses do. Like they're dicks to other people because they don't want to hear other opinions, So
yeah, no, right. Gotta be a dick. Hey, Herc's here. Hey, Herc.
Oh, yeah, Herc. Yeah,
Herc
hey,
130. What's going on, Flyboy?
Wow.
Slasher Fred says this movie. He says this movie feels like it was the first to use CGI, and it's funny you should mention that because this had the same team that we would see in Jurassic Park. We have Stan Winston with the practical effects, and then Dennis Muren with ILM. And man, ILM really kicks ass in this movie with the T-1000. And
well, if you remember, the Abyss was the prototype,
right?
The water probe or whatever was the prototype for the T-1000, and it still looks great in the Abyss, and it still looks great in this movie. Yeah,
and in the
it's tough to say the first time that they use CGI.
It's definitely not the first time they use CGI.
Yeah, that was the Sherlock Holmes film from the 80s with the stained glass knight coming to life.
Oh, I thought it was in Leprechaun.
I thought it was in Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan when they do the Genesis planet.
Oh, maybe that is CGI. Or is that anime?
You got to remember what's CGI, what's compositing. Like there's a lot of different optical techniques and stuff like that. But CGI, where it's completely computer. Well, I know you know that, Scotty.
What's the first movie with LEDs?
But even in the 2 years since the Abyss, they improved on that a lot. With
that was the point.
The gelatinous stuff, just the liquid metal interfaces with everything. I always nicknamed him like the Mercury Man because it's kind of like he's just all mercury.
It does,
he's just like liquid mercury. I'm like, man, this is just so amazing.
And
how
when the face changes in the Abyss, it does change from like that blue watery color to more of a mercury color when they have Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio. Yeah, I want to say Mary Louise Parker.
Just say Scarface's sister.
Or Mary Stuart Masterson, whatever. But yeah, as the face smiles and stuff, it changes into that mercury. And it was so, as a young film guy watching The Abyss 100 times in the theater and then watching that, I was like, oh, I recognized it right away. I was like, oh, it's the same thing. I didn't know what it was at the time, how they did it, but I was like, oh, it looks just like the water probe or whatever.
Where'd he go? There he is. Daniel's Hot Topics. What's going on, man? Oh, no.
Hey, Daniel's Hot Topics.
First things first. Hey, Scotty, how's it going? Good to see you, Daniel's Hot Topics. So is everybody else.
Herc says he remembers the T-1000 flying a helicopter. He had one hand on the control stick, one hand on the collective, and one hand shooting the machine gun. Very cool detail.
Yeah. That scene is fucking awesome. That scene is awesome. I love it. He lets that guy live. He's like, get out. I mean, we don't know if he lives because he jumped quite a distance.
It's a big jump.
But he probably broke his legs or something.
Yeah.
Well, like when he first hijacks the truck too, and in the beginning, he throws the guy out at top speed, and he like tumbles onto the street, and like he probably got if he didn't break anything, he's got serious road rash.
Oh yeah, he has a broken spine and probably brain damage. Yeah.
And again, like it's the movie starts out and Arnold is playing a Terminator. The T-1000 is being mean as well. And it's not until the Terminator meets John that we start
mean. He's actually
being mean. No,
he's not mean, but he's not charming. Like when he shows up to John's foster parents' house, he's just acting like a really weird, shady cop,
Yeah, that was another weird. But that was another weird scene too, where the foster dad is like, "Oh yeah, does this have anything to do with that other big guy who came around on the bike looking for him?" I'm like, some big guy on a bike came around looking for your foster kid who's like 10 years old, and you're not concerned as to what this is about.
You know what I never noticed, Kat, until I watched the 3D version on the big, because when you're watching it in a theater, you're so enveloped into it, you get those details that you don't maybe get like on your home screen. The dog's barking when
Yeah.
when I mean, I'm sure I'm not the first person. I mean, I'm sure people saw that ahead of time, but like I just never really noticed that Wolfie, or it wasn't really Wolfie, Max was barking when he shows up, and what's wrong with Wolfie? Oh God, it's so funny when Arnie does that voice. But anyway, yeah, like all those extra details of like the dogs barking, because that harkens you. It's never told in this movie. You had to have seen the other one to know that the dogs can sense the Terminators.
Well, and it's interesting that you say that was so funny when he uses John's voice.
What's wrong with
Like,
Wolfie?
maybe it's the ADR may have been humorous.
Oh no, it was great. It was great. I'm just saying.
But like I having just watched the first Terminator last week and then going into it this week, the way that John looks at the Terminator as in like, holy shit.
Yeah,
like,
this guy's magic.
Not only that, but also everything that my mother told me about this murderous killbot is true, and it's mine now. And it's
that does bring up, like, I mean, that does, I don't know where we're like, I don't know what our structure is on this, but there's a scene where John is like kind of fucking with these guys that are trying to help him because they think
it's like they came to help because you're screaming.
They came to help, and
he's
when they show up. He's such a piece of shit to them. Like I just like that just aggravates me because they're like nice guys trying to help a kid, and they end up getting like seriously injured.
No, but also like, I think that's part of the brilliance of Eddie Furlong's, or Edward Furlong's performance is that he is like, I think he was a kid who like he was bullied or ostracized by the children at the real school because they were into Nintendo. And
and I think Eddie Furlong
as soon as those jock douchebags show up, it's like, oh, it's about fucking time. I'm gonna use this gun now.
Why are they douchebags?
Because like it's John flexing. It's John getting his own Terminator and then seeing two of the biggest guys that he's ever seen. And I'm pretty sure he had an awkward with the jocks and the nerds because he's a computer kid and his mom's crazy.
I'm sure he was fine. I'm sure he wasn't a nerd. He seemed like a cool kid.
I think his
I don't think he's
maybe an outcast, but not like a dork.
But what I'm saying is that if I had a giant robot that could beat up two of the big jock guys, it would be like, yeah, I'm fine now. Get out of here. Fuck off.
I would have had him rob a liquor store and get me all the best beer they had in there.
See, that's why you're not the leader of the future resistance.
No, I never would be.
That's the weird thing. It's like, the foster parent, the cop shows up and he's like, I have some questions for John. And then the foster dad's like, well, what's this about? And the cop's like, well, I just have a few questions. Like, you didn't answer his question though. And then they don't say anything. He just leaves.
Yeah, we just have a few questions for him. Have you? Yeah.
What's this about? Is this about the big scary biker dude that came looking for here?
The foster parents to me never seemed like they wanted him. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, like why they even got.
To save their marriage.
I guess, yeah, but I do love that. I do love that product placement for the. I love the product placement for the milk, where he's the milk is where he's got the sword arm through his mouth.
Something like that with Pepsi too, where this person's walking by and it's the only thing on this big tray to draw your eyes to it.
Yeah,
he's got a slip Pepsi and a pencil.
Yeah, and then you had the
Daniel's Hot Topic says, I hear that James Cameron wants to reboot the franchise and say that Terminator 3 Salvation, Genesis, you spelled that wrong, just kidding, and Dark Fate never happened. Why not just leave them as parallel universes? No need to erase them.
I think just stop.
No, they're gonna milk it, and they'll give it a couple of years.
James Cameron.
Here's the answer, Daniel. It's because there's literally no difference between parallel universe or reboot. It's the same thing. It's just saying
we're talking about there's characters. There's going to be another episode of the Terminator show.
Okay, so moving forward, if they did another movie, you could not have Hamilton, you could not have Schwarzenegger. They're too old.
Yes.
I actually personally really liked Terminator Zero, which was like an animated thing on, I think, Netflix.
I heard that was good.
I really enjoyed it, and it expands the situation is still happening, but it's based. Yes, Terminator Sarah Connor is awesome.
Get a season 3, yo. Get that.
Lena Headey. Dude, that movie should get a Serenity, or that show should get a Serenity where it gets a movie to complete.
I know that
you just said stop making Terminator movies, but I proved that there is one Terminator movie you will see.
If it's that one, I'm on board, Scotty.
Dark Fate was supposed to be a new franchise onto itself, but then Linda Hamilton didn't want to come back, and that was the end of that.
I still haven't seen it.
It's not good. I mean, it's not horrible.
It's not terrible. It's better than the fifth one.
No. The action's good. It's just not. I don't know. I like Terminator Zero because it has new characters, new things, but the situation is still there, the same situation, but it's taken from other people's perspectives that have other things. I really liked that little, I think 8-episode animated series. It was great.
I've heard it's very, very good.
It's good. Yeah.
Eugene Bird says, Daniel's Hot Topics. Can you get him to zap a young Emilia Clarke into my universe? You know what? And I like Genesis.
Come with me if you want to live.
Well, it's not quite. I thought she did a great job. But I like short brunettes.
She did not do a great job, but she just should have never been cast. Not her fault.
I like how batshit crazy Sarah comes off as in this movie.
Yes.
Because
oh my god, yeah.
Usually characters like that, you ask yourself, how could they not believe them? But her, she's just totally nuts, and I love Earl Bowen coming back as
our first character introduction to her is her arms. You know, she's like doing fucking chin-ups, and you're like, oh my god, is this the character from the first movie that's getting ice cream put into her like waitress gown? You know, like, oh my god. And then she turns and that look on her face. Dude, Linda Hamilton was so committed to that role. Like, man, she's pretty much the heart and soul of that movie. You know?
Yes.
I mean, the three of the trio are, but her transformation is what people remember the most about Terminator 2. Is like not Arnie, not little what's his name, Eddie Furlong. It's Linda. It's Sarah Connor. Like, holy shit, action star. Boom.
And she has an amazing arc in the film. And yeah, apparently she started training like 2 months after she had her child. So like she got back into shape. And even Schwarzenegger apparently.
And how great is her performance? Like when she goes to kill Dyson. Oh my god, it's just gut wrenching. And like Eddie shows up, John shows up. And he's talking his mom down, and she just breaks down. She breaks down against the wall, and is like, "You like, I'm not gonna let you do it. I'm not gonna let you do it." And they don't know what she's talking about. You know, she's wrecked. It's such a good performance.
Eugene,
the
girl in the swing is her twin sister. Did you mention already last time?
Eugene, I'm going to technically dance around for a little bit. So, no, it is not. Her twin sister played the inverse of the mirror scene in the special edition where they crack open Arnie's head to get the input-output switch changed on the chip. Because I think her twin sister was on the other side with the real Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it was the back of an extra who was playing John Connor, and then we have Edward Furlong as John Connor. You see his face. You see Linda Hamilton, not her sister's face, and then the back is Stan Winston prosthetic dummy and whatever. And that's how they filmed that mirror scene without having the camera to be visible.
About it. I didn't know.
But right, no. When in the swing, her twin sister of Linda Hamilton would have been the same age, and I did not see a woman in a swing. I did see the mother of the woman in the swing, who I just realized today. Maybe I didn't realize today. Maybe I knew it before, because it is a fairly obvious thing. But Linda Hamilton plays her younger self, her big boy waitress character, shielding her daughter. She has a daughter in her dream. And then that's when the nuclear fire hits.
Hey, Wes Cagle. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Wes Cagle. So that was the more you know.
Slasher Fred says the same psychiatrist becomes a believer in this movie. Yeah, he seems almost like catatonic and stunned against the wall when he sees the T-1000 come through the bars, and the cigarette just falls out of his mouth, and then he just leans like
not the cigarette.
The wall. What?
Never mind. It's minor detail.
It was a syringe top.
Or the syringe, and he's sitting there. Yeah. And when the C-1000 goes all the way down the hall, you still see him standing back there with his hand still leaning against the wall, like he's just like frozen by fear, and he can't believe what he's seeing.
Do you guys think that the Arnie's character, when he throws the orderly through the window of the door, that guy died?
Oh, he's dead.
Oh yeah.
That guy
he's
died. Like, there's no coming back from that, man.
Not at all.
Like he goes through the glass, he drops onto it, and I'm always surprised that there isn't blood on his pure white uniform.
Well,
and I'm just like,
his head is cracked open from how thick that glass probably was, and then he lands on the glass.
Yeah, and then he falls over. It's fine. Anyway.
Daniel's Hot Topic says, I gotta say what Arnold said in the third movie. He said Judgment Day is inevitable. Well, how are they going to stop it? It's just going to happen again and again and again. Well, yeah, then that's their fate, is that they have to, their destiny is to keep trying to prevent Judgment Day until the timeline catches up with, just keep doing that.
Well, see, Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 were trying to make time travel theory seem easy. And it was easy. What you thought of time travel in those movies was like, you change this fate and that changes things. And then as long as nothing else changes, you're fine. Every other movie after that, with the exception of Salvation, because Salvation was its own thing. Yeah. It tried to complicate things so much that none of the writers knew what the fuck they were talking about or how to dig themselves out of a hole. The time travel element was very simple in the first two movies. It was like, go back, change this, save this, and that's all you need to do.
And before they did the third movie, there was no way for Judgment Day to happen anymore because of the way this movie ends.
Yeah. Putting
so
all the stuff in the molds or whatever. Yeah.
And it was kind of contrived when John asked him in the third movie, I thought you said we prevented this. It's over. And he's like, no, it's inevitable. You only delayed it. And it's like, I haven't seen the third one in a long time. I'll watch it before next week's show, obviously, but I don't remember.
Oh, we are doing all of them. Okay.
I don't remember what the reason
is. My favorite part of part 3 is when, you find out what's her name?
Kate Brewster?
Yeah. What's the actress? Shit. Yeah.
My
Kate
So-Called Life.
My So-Called Life. Yeah. She goes like, oh, so you listen to me? And then you find out the Terminator doesn't listen to John. And then the Terminator goes, you die in this thing. And then your wife sends me back. And Nick Stahl just goes, well, that sucks.
Yeah, I can't remember what the reason is in the third movie that they give for how Skynet is even able to happen, given the events of the second movie.
They don't. They never mention how.
You know what, guys? Let's not get ahead of ourselves. If we
I'm sorry.
have a conversation about
I didn't know
Rise of the Machines, I'm happy.
Apparently, you guys are doing all the Terminator movies. But
now I just found out. I wasn't sure if we were going to commit to that. But
I have a lot to say about 3. If you want to invite me on that one,
you're more than welcome. Of course. It just became a part. Ladies and gentlemen, breaking news from the Fantasmagorium. We are proud to present even more Shotguns, Cyborgs, and CyberDyne. We will be covering all of the movies. We will not. I don't think we have enough in us to do the Sarah Connor Chronicles, but we'll talk about that later, Kat and I.
You will, because I haven't seen it.
It's really good.
And I'm not going to have time to watch it by the time we get to that.
Okay.
Summer Gall. That's all I got to say.
Glow. I thought it was Glow.
Glow, whatever. Yeah.
I also like
brain. What is brain?
in the years since the first movie, she has that friend out in the desert.
Enrique?
Yeah,
Enrique.
and with the hidden cache of weapons and everything. It's like, man, she's doing a lot of work. Because this is out at her little camp, and they have like the passwords they say to each other to make sure they're that it's safe to put their guns down.
Well, that scene is so sad because the inner monologue, you find out like Sarah she's been betting with anybody that can help her train her son to be like, warriors and stuff like that. So she's had many different lovers or whatever, and she was fine with that because that was part of the deal. She realized what she had to do. And it's interesting, like that whole
transactional sex for information.
Yeah, and it's a small detail that she says, but it's like, oh yeah. I don't think it's the inner monologue. I think it's actually John Connor that says it to the Terminator. Yeah.
But also, Enrique has a wife and a family. I think it was.
Oh, I don't think Enrique was one of the guys. I'm just saying.
Right. Yeah, no. But it's interesting to hear how well, and also she sort of already fell in love. The love of her life died, traveled through time, and so she's probably not going to find anyone more committed than that. Or at least that's the way she's dealing with it.
And it's a great detail that she's going into Mexico at the end of the first movie. And the details that she has this allegiance to, just north of the border people, where she knows all these people and like they have their weapons. It's like, okay, she was doing her work. She wasn't fucking around. Like she took that shit seriously.
Well, and you also do get the backstory with John, and I guess you get a lot of this from John, but it is him saying, "I thought that's how growing up was, riding around on helicopters, blowing shit up."
Yeah,
like it's great from both of their perspectives. You know why she's doing it, and you understand why he's the way he is.
And there's so much great plant and payoff of him at that ATM machine. Just going like, well, my mom taught me this, and then again he uses that later to open a door. It's like, that's the shit. That's the stuff that works.
So this is like, and this is probably a stupid question at this point, but this is a cyberpunk movie, right?
I haven't played those games.
No. But like in terms of the genre, high tech or low life?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
Fighting authority, underdogs, criminal elements.
I don't know, because cyberpunk is so broad. I don't know.
It is very broad, but I'm just wondering if it because it is such a broad genre umbrella, does it fit under it? Like you think about the aesthetic of the first Terminator. Kind of cyberpunk with the tech noir.
The first Terminator feels a little bit more cyberpunk. Yeah.
Okay.
There's like James Cameron uses more blues in that first one. It just has this like this grittiness to it, but also like the future scenes have that, well, the first two, both of them do, but the second one goes a little bit more red because James Cameron loves his blues. Everybody knows he loves his blues. But what I mean by blues is colors. But
I understand.
Yeah, but yeah. I don't know.
I
get you right. I get you right.
He's got the decks, and we are doing computer stuff. You get to see a guy who's like a corpo working on a brain chip. Like but there's still a criminal element. People have guns. There's people, evil doctors. It's kind of, I don't know. It kind of fits.
Me and all my friends for years. I got to go on camera for this. For years, we did just when we get drunk at parties, we do the Miles Dyson. I don't know how much longer I can hold this. Like it was just, for some reason, it was so funny.
Oh no,
it's very tragic, but it was just funny. I don't know.
Yes.
I like how quickly it comes around to their way of thinking. I mean, obviously, when you see the robot, it's like, oh God, but it's like that he just marches in. It's like, yeah, let's blow the whole place to smithereens.
Well, no, when Arnie peels his arms off, peels his skin off, he's like, well, I have that arm. I've seen that arm. So this is legit. That's all he needs to know,
But also there is something that I find very, very interesting. is that when he peels it off, it's not because like, oh, he's a cyborg. It's that he actually recognizes the arm that he has at his office.
Yeah.
And so when this is kind of like that scene in Return of the Jedi where our C-3PO is telling the Ewoks what happened in the previous 2 movies. It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And so we get the voiceover from Linda Hamilton saying like, the Terminator laid it all out. The last term, I don't think she met. It's just like CyberDyne, the Judgment Day, the future. She just explains that. But the thing is that they must have told him like the story of the first Terminator.
Yeah,
so that's how he knows where
that's
this
how he knows where
from.
the original arm that he has came from. Yeah.
And so I think that if you hear like it, okay, so the backstory is going to be the future. Essentially, it's like, this is what happens. You built the machine. Here's how we can prove it. Here's how you got the shit that you got. He is a scientist. I don't think he turns around like, I don't think he does it lightly, because he does have a couple of breakdowns where he's like, this was brilliant. We could have changed the world. And then he realizes, oh yeah, we will.
But they show him as a really good guy, a good natured person, you know? So, and Sarah, I'm sure Sarah said, I'm sorry, I tried to shoot your son who was playing with his remote control car.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing. It's not only is he on board with it, the way he's just so chill with Sarah and stuff after that.
I think it's because he sees what he sees, and maybe he's a believer, and he's just like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah, like there are, and I think it's exemplified when he finally, like, Arnold he's using the fire axe to just chop wood on a bunch of PCs, computer hard drives and everything, and then he's like, can I borrow that? You know, I spent most of my life on this thing, and then he smashes it. It's amazing.
I feel so bad for the wife and the child because their house is torched, and then the husband.
I don't even know where they went.
Well, remember they show like there's like everything's burned in the house.
Oh
yeah.
Well, yeah, the barrel of files.
Well, the barrel, but like the house is fucked. It's like shot up, and then like they're the husband and father, he's dead, you know. But yeah, I don't know. I felt bad for the kid.
Yeah, it's like these crazy people break in and say this crazy stuff is happening, and they have no frame of reference for it because they don't know what he's been working on. And now he's dead, and you've lost your breadwinner, you've lost all the money, and your house is fucking.
Yep, exactly. I hope they got comped, but because he ended up probably coming the end of this movie, like all the main characters.
No, I want to talk about the kids just one more second.
No, hang on. But they're all like,
where'd the daughter go? Where did the daughter go?
I don't know. I didn't know there was a daughter.
I don't know.
But there is a daughter that she's
maybe she was out of friends. She was at a friend's house.
Yeah, she was having a sleepover.
But my point is like, so Miles Dyson goes and does all this shit, and then he gets killed by the SWAT team. So he's going to be forever known as like a bad guy, like a villain.
Yes.
So that means the family's fucked and they're not going to get any like compensation.
Well, but this is something that I find very
matter. I'm just
no, but it does matter, because I was thinking of the broader experience of the people who lived within the Terminator 2 world. And I was thinking, like, the original ending has it, and it's like, and John grew up to be senator in Washington. And it's like, really, after all of this, we know that you, Sarah, recording this lovely soliloquy, you were wanted for the destruction of a corporate building.
Public enemy number one.
Yeah. And John was there.
I think that's why they cut that ending, because they're like, well, this doesn't make any sense. Like, these people are going to be on the run for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, now we know you've been collaborating with this guy who killed, like, how many cops has he killed now? The first one, 17 cops. Like, you're done. Nobody's going to believe you.
They think it's the same guy.
Yeah, that ending. First of all, that ending was really cheesy.
Yes.
It was
I never
really.
saw that ending.
Oh, you haven't
It's
seen
so
it, Kat?
funny.
It's like Linda Hamilton in like 90s old lady makeup and you just a guy pushing a kid on a swing. It's stupid.
Yeah, they were
It's so
talking about
much
this
better
before.
that it just fades out on the road
Yeah.
with Sarah's monologue. Oh, it's so much better because they know that they're going to be on the run forever, but they just save the world, you know?
Well, and hearing about that, and I'm sure that there are people who know about it and people who don't, but they did test screenings, and it was the audience who said, "Fuck that," and I think it was Mario Casar who said, "Seriously, Jim, look at these cards," and everybody just said, "The ending sucks. The ending sucks. The ending sucks," and he was like, "Okay, so what do we do?" And they basically just had to pull a new ending out of their ass
That's
within
where editing really
2
takes over.
days.
You know what? All we got to do, we got footage of the road. Let's just shoot it and fade it out. It's way more powerful. It makes way more sense. You know?
With that sort of coda, that monologue that Sarah gives at the end.
Yeah.
No fate, but what we make for ourselves. And if a human can, or if a Terminator can find the humanity in us, then maybe we can too.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. I'm getting a beer. That was that good.
Do you guys think they should have kept it? Because for me, there's parts in the director's cut that I think would have made the movie stronger, just like how the revelation that like Ripley has a daughter in Aliens makes more sense. You know,
I don't know the difference between the theatrical and the director's cut because I've just seen the director's cut for so long. I don't remember.
Okay, so the theatrical cut, Cat, does not have them removing the chip from Arnie's head.
Oh, okay.
So you don't really know why he's all of a sudden taking a liking to the kid and having emotions. It never really says that. You just kind of figure, well, he's like an AI or whatever, so maybe he's doing it. I think the director's cut where they do remove that makes way more sense. So you've seen the one where he does the smile.
Yeah.
I don't really care for the smile that much, but
nobody does.
But it makes so much more sense that they remove that. So inhibitor chip or whatever. All of a sudden he's able to kind of connect with John and like understand what he's saying. The theatrical cut, they don't do that. So you're kind of like, well, why is he becoming like friends with this guy? Why does he say, "I know now why you cry, but it's something I can never do"? Like,
that's right. Because earlier in the movie, when he sees him crying in the back of the car, he's like, "What's wrong with your eyes?" And he's like, "Nothing." And then he gets it at the end. Yeah.
So you've never seen the original cut?
I probably did on TV when I first saw it. Like, because I saw this movie before the original. I definitely saw it on TV. I grew up watching this movie and loving it. And then when the DVD came out, the one I got in 2003, it was advertised as, the special edition. I think I had both versions on there you can watch. But I just started watching the special edition, and I probably knew back then when I'd seen it, but I've just seen the special edition for so long. I just couldn't remember what wasn't in the theatrical.
I remember when John and I were so excited to hear that the 3D version was coming to theaters. We were like, "Oh my God, please be the director's cut, please!" And it wasn't. It was a theatrical cut. That was the only thing. I was like, "God damn it!"
So often when movies, which are known to have not just a cheap director's cut, like from a marketing standpoint, but like a legit director's cut, they'll advertise they're going to put a new transfer out or something, and it's only ever the theatrical. Oh, and here's the other one on an earlier version. It's like, no, do both of them.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. But I'm sure. Well, again, I've heard the Steelbook isn't great. I heard the transfer's not 4K. Great. Yeah. 4K. Yeah,
I haven't seen that. I remember it was priced as low as $10 before at Best Buy when they used to carry physical media. And because I just heard from other people, but never like actually watched it, I didn't do it. But then I heard people complaining about Aliens, and I watched it, and it's like, yeah, he scrubbed it clean of grain, but it's still the best quality version of that movie I've ever seen.
I have a really random question that probably doesn't matter in the overall scheme of the movie, but if the T-1000 can just be whatever it wants at any time, why does it have to transport through time naked as a man? I'm just It could just transfer as something. It doesn't have to be naked. It could have clothes on because it's not real clothes.
Well, he mentions that it has to be the same size. It can't imitate complex chemical mechanisms.
No, I get
flesh
that,
is pretty complex.
No, I get that.
Well, I mean,
but
it's probably their version of flesh isn't the same. Like when the Terminator cuts his arm off, it's not gushing blood everywhere, you know?
You're searching, Cat. You're searching.
Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing.
It could have gone through as like a lion if it wanted to. Yeah, like a tiger.
Okay. No, absolutely. You're absolutely correct.
Doesn't it have to physically come into contact with the thing that it's imitating?
Sure. Well, yeah. Okay. Okay, so there's probably no lions. There's
well, and also
no lions in the future.
Exactly.
Who built the time machine?
Was that a plot point in Salvation? I can't remember.
No,
but who built the time machine?
It was Genesis, where they, and I hate that movie, but they showed that Genesis, they storm the CyberDyne like building and and they already have the device, so they just kind of steal it. So they didn't make it; the machines made it.
The machines made it, exactly. And so
but that movie sucks. It's not canon, so it doesn't matter.
No, but that's what I'm saying is that I think that
Eugene Bird says it was Finity. I'm sure of it.
I knew that was coming. I fucking knew someone was going to say
Scott
that.
and I both smiled when you first mentioned time travel like 40 minutes ago because we thought he was going to show up because that's what happened last week. The second somebody said the word time travel, Finity.
I'm surprised he's not here.
And he's like, did somebody say time travel?
No, Eugene Bird, you're the man. Yeah, I knew that was coming. Especially
he's been terminated.
Wes Cagle says, yeah, but if they transport with clothes on, we don't get the great line, your clothes, give them to me.
No, and I'm not talking about like, okay, what's the model? What's the Arnold model? It's the
T101 or the T101.
Yeah, the T101 makes sense because it's
or the
flesh and bone.
T800.
That makes sense. It's flesh and bone. It has a skeletal system, but it also has like reproductive organs and stuff like that. So that makes sense. When it comes to the T1000, it's not a human. There's nothing. There's no moving components in it. It's all just like a fluid. It's all like gelatinous. So there's no reason it needed to be naked. It doesn't matter. I'm just making conversation.
That's right. It's the T800. That's right. And then
that's right. That's right. Yeah.
And then the 101 or something, the 800 or something in the first movie. But yeah,
who knows?
Herc says, "Oh, Eugene, I just shot Pepsi out of my nose with that comment about Kennedy."
I didn't know Pepsi was still around. That's great.
No, but honestly, I think that in going back to what Slasher Fred said is that's the time travel or that's the technology rule of this movie, whereas the first one it was like nothing dead can come through. This one is no, he can't make his own guns, he can't be a bomb. Like that's just the rule that is made up for this movie. Hey, Canadian Spider-Man.
Well, that wasn't what I wasn't saying he.
No,
I was saying like he can show up, like he can touch those twin fat guys at the vending machines and like turn into them, or he could turn into the floor. So he could have easily transferred through time with clothes on. Anyway, Pepsi rules.
Yeah, we're not sponsored by them, but Herc follows up saying, "I was gonna say I shot Coke out of my nose, but that just seemed unsightly and illegal."
And what a waste of Coca-Cola.
Oh, you were right, Wes Cagle. RC Cola is still around. NCC Cola. Yes, they had RC Cola, an actual vending machine with just RC Cola at my high school, but that was 20 years ago. But still.
Oh, remember, you guys, RC Cola was just a flat version of Pepsi. It was just flat. Yeah. That's all it was. It was flat. That's why it was so cheap.
I didn't like the bubbles.
I remember. Do you guys remember Jolt?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
What do you think I was drinking when I watched Terminator 2?
Dude, the cinema that I used to go to in high school had Super Jolts, which was like a double dose of Jolts, and you're just like you're in that movie like you're on cocaine, basically. Yes.
Fear and
Hey,
Loathing.
Spider-Man says he misses Pop Shop. Orange and green were dynamite.
I remember the Pop Shop. And so, yeah, look, I did want to talk about the going back to the arc of Sarah Connor and the performance that she does push through, like the breakdown that you were speaking of, Ben. Like
Yeah.
she goes farther than, like, she goes Sigourney Weaver. Like, I can't believe, because I know Sigourney was nominated for Best Actress for Aliens. I'm surprised.
She was.
I'm surprised that Linda Hamilton didn't get a Best Supporting.
She should have. She really
should.
Should.
Or even Best Actress. Like, to be fair.
Well,
like,
she is Best Actress. Like, she's the main character. You know, she's the main character of the movie, in my opinion. I mean, everything. That's so debatable, though. Like, you have like supporting.
I wonder who else was
been in a movie for 5
Megan.
minutes. You know, like. Anyway.
Well, speaking of awards, I'd say this movie. It's kind of like, you know, the movies that never get nominated for the top awards are the ones that people remember as opposed to the ones that did. I mean, I remember 1991, like that was the year Silence of the Lambs won. And then Beauty and the Beast, I guess that's memorable. But the other nominees that year, I don't remember. But this Best Picture, it's like, yeah, don't thumb your nose at it. This is an excellent movie.
Oh, agree. 100%. 100%. Yeah, I agree with that. Well, 1991, you go back to it. Well, I don't know if it'd be Goodfellas, but I definitely think it's a better.
That was 1990.
Oh shit! Sorry. What was 91?
Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
What else was up against it?
Oh, I think Prince of Tides, maybe Beauty and the Beast.
Really? Oh, right. I remember that was the first time an animated movie had been nominated for.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, whatever. My bad.
No. But still, like, I like Beauty and the Beast, but Terminator 2 is better.
Yeah, but
Awakenings, Ghost, oh no, this is 90.
Oh, I got it right here. Here he goes.
Okay, you got it.
So the nominees, okay, Silence of the Lambs won, Beauty and the Beast, Bugsy, JFK, and The Prince of Tides. Yeah, those other three, forget that noise. I'd put T2 on that list.
Yeah, and Bugsy is so like Warren Beatty buying a nomination.
And JFK was just insane. And then
yeah, but it was subversive.
I guess. But yeah, those are the ones there for that. And then as for actress, in terms of why Linda Hamilton perhaps didn't get recognized, we had Jodie Foster won for Silence. They also had Gina Davis for Thelma and Louise, Laura Dern for Rambling Rose, Bette Midler for For the Boys, and Susan Sarandon also for Thelma and Louise. So, yeah, she didn't get that year.
Yeah, see, it seems like if you vote for either Thelma or Louise, like if you want to nominate either Thelma or Louise, you have to have them together. You can't break up the set.
I mean, that was a good, enjoyable movie. I don't know if I'd say best actress for, whatever. We're not going to get into that topic right now.
Well, and how many times have you seen Ramblin' Rose?
I actually love that movie with Robert Duvall. It's good.
Yeah,
but you know what? Like, look, genre movies back then, with the exception, extraordinary exception of Sigourney Weaver for Aliens, like that stuff just didn't get that kind of love. It just never did. You know, it really took The Dark Knight to kind of blow that wide open a little bit. But even now, it's kind of regressed a little bit, where now it's just like these fucking indie movies that no one's ever seen. We had a couple of years where you'd get your District 9s and stuff like that for Best Picture and all that stuff, but now it's just like movies no one's ever heard of. No one or Overwatch.
That's actually a great topic you should do for one of your shows. I'd love that. I have all sorts of thoughts on that entire thing.
Sorry, yeah, that's not a topic for this.
But Eugene Bird says, I'd never heard of Annie Hall, 1977 winner. Did it have 10 sequels like Star Wars? I had to watch that in a film class because I guess it was, at the time that movie was considered really like a legacy. it completely revitalized the rom-com genre, or pretty much almost invented it over again.
I love
And
that.
every template for rom-coms after that came from. Annie Hall's a good movie, but Best Picture over Star Wars, no.
No, well, yeah, no, of course not. Wow, I didn't
Star
even.
Wars
Well,
got
Star Wars was up or no?
Yeah, it was Best Picture. It won
Oh,
7
it
Oscars
was.
that year, and
That's
it had a Best
right.
Picture
It
nomination.
should have won Best Editing for sure.
I think it did. It did.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, Eugene Bird says he saw Prince of Tides with a hot, long-haired blonde named Lisa. She ghosted me 2 dates later. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Did you pick the movie, Eugene? And man, I say this in the most loving way, but if that was the first time that I went on a date with you and you showed me the Prince of Tides, yes, I'm leaving as well.
Oh, come on.
Nick Nolte is effed in that movie, yo.
Dude,
he is
no.
broken.
He's effed as a child in that movie, dude.
Yeah, it's kind of that's not a first date movie.
That scene is dark, man.
Okay, getting back on topic.
Sorry, yes, film.
I like how all the car chases don't necessarily top themselves, but they're all really good. Like, I never get action fatigued watching this movie.
No.
Again, because James Cameron knows when to cut back to the characters and show the characters like, you know, experiences and reactions. So it's not just in your face action. But you got to admit, the helicopter scene under the bridge really happened. That's dope.
I don't know if
really
it did.
done. No, it was really done.
I don't know if it did.
No, it was. It's a real stunt. The guy really went under the bridge and did that stunt.
Yeah.
I just watched the 2017, 2016 sort of retrospective, and they said that they had it. They had the helicopter, and they had the power lines turned off so that there wouldn't be any sort of aerial friction, like electromagnetic friction. But they were afraid that even with the power off on the lines, that there would be an arc. There's a possibility of arcing. And so I saw the mock-up on a truck. And this is in the thing. I was really looking forward to it because I always heard that they actually flew under the overpass. But the thing that I just watched said no. So I don't know. If you have contrary information and you can correct me and tell me, Scott, you're a damn idiot, then I will accept it happily because I want it to have happened.
Let's see. I have some information. Let's see if I can find that.
Should we talk amongst ourselves?
Oh, I do know that the big action scene in the LA River at the Bull Creek spillway in North Hills is where the truck comes ripping through. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And that's incredible set dressing just to be able to bust all that up. And the cinematography, like that was James Cameron on basically a go-kart with a pilot, like with a driver, getting as close to the front of that truck as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And he's sitting there and he's explaining it, and he's like, the driver could not see us, and I was in contact with him the entire time, being like, don't worry about us, we are moving around you.
Oh, here's something interesting. The now destroyed Corral Bar in Sylmar is where the T-800 confronts a group of bikers. The location manager chose it because it was raised above ground, allowing the scene to take place over different levels. But the Rodney King beating took place at the same location just 1 week after filming, being captured on the same videotape a spectator used to capture the filming of the biker bar scene. On one occasion, a woman who was oblivious to ongoing filming walked into the bar. When she asked Schwarzenegger, who was only wearing a pair of shorts, what was going on, he replied, "It's male stripper night."
Maybe that's what got incorporated into Rise of the Machines.
But apparently the crew got so fed up with Cameron being a dictator that they made T-shirts that said, "You can't scare me. I work for Jim Cameron."
So did we get anything on the helicopter though?
I'm going through reading that. Let's see.
Trust me, Scotty, it happened. It was a
So,
real
but I'm
stunt.
asking. I just watched
I'm
the
looking.
thing that said it didn't happen.
It did.
While we're doing that, I have actually been to the CyberDyne building multiple times in San Jose, where the helicopter and the Gatling gun opens fire on the side of the buildings. It's right off the freeway there.
Rad.
So that's pretty cool. Let's see, did helicopter?
I've been to the Nakatomi building, which is the Fox.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. 'Tis the season.
Argon.
Argyle?
Argyle. I thought it was Argon. Argyle. Whatever. We pour
Wrong
one out for him,
transformer.
even though he didn't die.
Okay, it says
No.
yes. It says that stunt pilot Chuck Timburo flew a helicopter under a freeway overpass with only 5 feet of clearance. To perform the stunt,
Thank you.
you had to fly the helicopter at 60 knots, as going any slower could have caused him to lose control. James Cameron filmed the shot himself from a moving vehicle, as the camera crew refused to film it due to the high risk. Cameron filmed the shot twice, once with the camera car behind the helicopter and once in front of it.
Oh, I guess they didn't film that for the special features.
I guess
Maybe it was
not.
a fucking crime that they were, and it was like, no.
It does sound kind of iffy that they would let them do that. I mean, because that is
Well, they do
incredibly
name the
dangerous.
pilot. They
Well, dude,
named the pilot.
back then, stunts were fucking ballsy, man. Like they
That's
used to
true.
do shit like that. It's nowadays everyone's pussies. You know, it's like it's all like, oh, we gotta CGI this thing. And
That's
it's
like
so
all
fucking...
the times when I was seeing the trailers for that Uncharted movie, and they kept showing the thing of them hanging out the cargo plane with the nets. It's so CG and so fake, and all. Every
Yeah.
time I saw that trailer, I'm like, I remember they did this for real in The Living Daylights back in 1987.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then you go back to like Tom Cruise just doing it to say hi to the crowd. Yeah, like,
Exactly.
hey, everybody! He's just hanging off a fucking plane. Yeah,
No, and again, the only reason I bring it up, the only reason I am being
Sure.
contrary is because it
No,
was
it's all
weird.
good, man. It's all good.
I was
Well, maybe they had that
waiting for it.
maybe they had that as a backup in case they weren't gonna get in case their permission was gonna
Well,
cancel.
in contrast to that stunt, which I think is, I think that whole shootout is amazing. I love the way the characters are using their brains and they're putting the bulletproof vests to line the walls of the van that they're in. It's so fucking great. But then we get the infamous rolling of Arnold Schwarzenegger's character, that awful roll.
You don't like that?
Well, I mean, no, it's fine, but it's so obviously like out of place with the rest of the scene. That roll that he does when he lands into what are they in, like a smelting factory or whatever, like a
Like a steel mill.
the steel mill, like that roll that he did. Come on, don't tell me you don't know that roll looks a little.
I know
wonky.
it, but I don't have any issue with
Well,
it.
it's kind of like when he does that stunt on the motorcycle when he jumps off the divider into the LA River, and it's like a stunt guy. I think he's either he was wearing a mask or it was a stunt guy who just looked very similar, and you could tell, like especially.
No, but that was the best part. And again, I don't know what Blu-ray release this is. It comes in the whole fucking thing. And it's got 1 to 6, even if you don't think that there are more than 2. And
whoever is in charge of this video right now, bring up the roll. Bring up the roll and show Scott.
Oh, I'm not clipping shit, man. What kind of an operation do you think we're doing here? Anyway, so
sorry, Scott.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
I know that story of Canadian Spider-Man. I remember that. Right after World War II, a pilot flew an Air Force plane under the Princess Margaret Bridge in Fredericton, New Brunswick. Yes, 150 feet max. Yes, indeed. I remember that story.
The 3D release and the Blu-ray that I got does a digital mask, and it does now completely look like Schwarzenegger.
Mm.
They digitally altered it, and I'm fine with it. It's a special edition. Love it.
How gnarly the whole showdown in the steel mill is. Like when Schwarzenegger gets like really cut up and everything, and he has to like rip apart his arm.
So good. So good.
Oh god, it's so awesome. Because if they did something like that today, it would be all CG and stuff. But it just looks so good.
Like the sound design and the excellent. People could say what they want about Arnold, but like he knew how to play that character so well, and like the slow motions that he did, he never broke that character, and just like Oh, quiet, Cookie. The way
The Terminator.
the way that he would just like the way he took his arm out of that thing to break off, it's just so good because you're almost feeling at that point like, oh shit, what is he gonna do? Like all hope is lost. And obviously we get that moment where he has the grenade gun or whatever. But
yeah, I remember that in the original, or not the original, but when I first saw the movie, wondering how are they going to defeat this T-1000? Like, what are they going to do to it? Because you see when it gets like its head's twisted one way, its face is twisted the other side, and it's standing there, and the weird shrieks that it's making reminded me of The Thing at the end of that with the Blair
yes,
monster
it
and the noise.
absolutely did. Yeah,
and with the color of all the fire and everything behind
when
it,
it turned into all the it turned into everybody that he was impersonating at certain points.
Well, I meant like even before that too, when he falls
yeah.
in, but it feels so much like that.
Yeah, you know what? All you needed in that moment was Samwise Gamgee to push him in. Scotty's like, what? Because Scotty.
No, I know what you're talking about. I'm allowing you to have your moment. Joe's Atmosphere says Terminator rocks. True story.
Yes, it is. And welcome, Joe's Atmosphere. Nice to see you.
It's nice to see you, Joe. And your atmosphere.
Oh, Fredericton is Canadian Spider-Man's hometown. Nice.
Have I ever been to Fredericton? I don't think so. Oh, is Fredericton? I don't know where Fredericton is.
Really? Okay.
Oh, you
Well,
were
from Canada.
Canada's a big place. I've never been to everywhere in the US either.
I've always been on the West Coast. Oh, nice.
Oh.
He says, drive by the like before bed at work. Have a great stream, folks. Thank you very much indeed. Nice to see you.
Well, you guys got a great fan base. Lots of different people.
Well, it's fun. It's fun to talk to people and have them say, I know I should pay more attention to the chat, but Kat's doing a great job.
I'm not sure who you're asking, Eugene. If you're asking Canadian Spider-Man or us, I'm always from the West Coast. I've never been I've only been to the East Coast once, and that was I've been there twice. Once for 3 times, sorry.
A lady.
Washington, D.C. trip in 2003 to North Carolina, to the Daytona 500 in Florida in 2011, and then to a trip to get some airplane parts in North Carolina in 2015. But that's it.
You love your car racing, Kat. You love your car racing.
I tell you, being there in person, TV just doesn't do it justice.
Are you I know this is way off topic, but are you looking forward to F1, the movie? F1?
Sure. I guess I'll see. Yeah.
I'm interested.
Yeah, I'm interested. I'll see it. Yeah.
My keyboard tells me that there are at least 12 in the series.
Canadian Spider-Man says it's the capital city of New Brunswick. Haha, Scotty, wow. We all know the capital city of Ontario is Toronto. Nothing to see in Freddie Beach. Keep going through to Halifax.
No, I've been to Fredericton. That's why I knew it rings a bell, but I don't call it New Brunswick. I call it No Funswick.
I thought New Brunswick was in New York.
No, New Brunswick. Well, I'm sure there is an old Brunswick somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, like Newcastle right down the road from me. There must be an old castle somewhere.
I don't mean to make fun of New Brunswick.
But yeah, it's and I also love Robert Patrick in this, and I don't know what it says that I think this is. I mean, he's so good in this role.
We have to start talking about Robert Patrick.
Yeah,
that's what we need to do. He is.
That's what everyone came here to see.
So there was Kat. There was a. I don't know if you know this because you're so young, but the Arsenio Hall show.
Oh, of course.
Okay, so Arsenio Hall was known for like asking back in the day, like better questions than the other people were, like Johnny Carson and stuff like that. And he had Arnold Schwarzenegger and Robert Patrick sitting next to each other on the couch, and he goes to Robert Patrick. He goes, "What was it that you did that made all of us think that you could whip his ass?" You know, and that was how he answered it, or that's how he asked it. And like, I don't remember what Robert Patrick said, but Robert Patrick's like everything about it was so menacing. Like you bought it. You bought that he could beat this big fucking guy. You know?
Yeah, that's it, and he totally sells it too. And then in the police uniform, it's just great.
Well, and I even found a difference between, because you get like when Arnold shows up, Arnold has like a wrestling entrance. He
Yeah.
comes in, he kicks a bunch of guys' asses, and then he leaves the bar to bad to the bone. And that's how we get, and everyone wanted to see the Terminator, and they gave us the best entrance. And then you get Robert Patrick, who shows up, and like honestly, even if you
think
were
he's the good guy, you think he's the good guy because he just shows up. Yeah.
Well, if you were a fan of the original, if you'd seen the original, I hadn't, but I was just like, oh no, a naked man, because my father had taught me to run, and but the thing is that he has the same physique as Kyle Reese. And you expect the little guy to be in a position of weakness. And you expect Arnold to be the one who's going to be, you came here to see Arnold kick ass. Arnold's going to kick ass. And I think that it does move forward with basically the expectation. Again, going back to what was said before. It's like, oh, we're just going to get the same thing over again. Well, no, it's the inverse. The little guy is going to beat up the big guy this time. Because don't forget, fucking Kyle dies.
Canadian Spider-Man says Robert Patrick said in an interview that he didn't think he was fit enough at his age to do the role justice. He said that performance was perfect for the time and doesn't want to take away from it. Because that's a character I thought they would have wanted to try and bring back in later sequels. Because if you keep bringing back Arnold, why not bring back the T-1000? Because frankly, I think he's the T-1000 is the best evil Terminator after Arnold in the first one.
I'm so glad they didn't though, because
yeah.
He's so perfect in that role. And again, like you see him in the first place and he's just like, okay, he's this guy. And then all of a sudden you're scared shitless of him. And you're scared for Arnold because like this guy can fuck him up, you know?
That's a mistake. Sometimes the little guy surprises.
Absolutely. Look at Spidey. And I meant Spider-Man, not you particularly, Canadian Spider-Man. I know you're a strapping man who can chop wood.
She will not. She wants to be on camera so bad.
Hey, everybody! The Fantasmagorium is not an OnlyFans, but you will be able to see a pussy.
She just keeps jumping on me like, I want to be on the camera.
She's more than welcome. Has she seen Terminator 2?
Daniel's Hot Topic says Robert Patrick was going to come back for a sequel. It was so exciting when I read it, but then the company who made the Terminator movies was bought out and the movie was scrapped. I heard something about that too, because there's all sorts of different companies that have the rights to the different films. Which is why I'm surprised that Scotty managed to have all 6 in one set.
Well, yeah, back then there was. Yeah, like it took years for Cameron to get the rights back, and I almost wish he didn't. But because he didn't really do much justice to it. But yeah, he eventually wanted it back, even though he declined to do a part 3 or whatever. And I get that.
Eugene Bird says he's so heartless, he doesn't talk unless there's a purpose, and relentless. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And that was the thing.
So great about Robert Patrick's performance was just like the deadpan, just he was so menacing, man. So fucking
when he spoke, it was important and menacing. Just every time you want to say menacing. But I enjoy the cadence of his physical performance. He didn't have to speak to be imposing, and when he was speaking, it was almost like a pleading negotiation for a quick end. Like, I'm going to win. Do it now. And it was, the only time you really hear him react to pain is when he is in molten steel. And even then, like, again, Brad Feidel's trumpet that accompanies him essentially going into and out of himself to call to whatever God he believes in.
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
Like it's just
kind of weird.
Perfect.
It was kind of a strange, kind of over the top ending where he just like morphs back into all the other characters. But I loved it. You know.
Well, and I was wondering because I forgot because it's been a while since I've seen it, and then when I saw it, I was like, is there a moment where he turns into Sarah? Because Sarah's the last one he turned into. but they don't do that.
Yeah, I don't think they do. Yeah.
And I'm glad that they don't, because I think that that would have sort of cheapened the end. I don't know why, but it is something where it's like, logically, if you want to take into account all of the mechanics of the situation, it is like it's Janelle, the guy from Gremlins 2, and then and then it would be Sarah.
Can we talk about I order you not to go? I order you not to go. Oh.
Now, why doesn't he take that order?
Because he knows that John Connor's ultimate mission is to defeat Skynet, and the only way, and the best way of defeating Skynet is to kill him, is to end himself in the pit.
Yeah, so he has a second order. It's not just to protect John; it's to stop Skynet from happening. So he has. I think he says that sort of like, but yeah, but man, that scene,
it can't go any further.
Well, in the scene, like I was saying, Kat, like when you watch the director's cut, it means so much more because they've removed the inhibitor chip and all that stuff. So you know why he feels the way he feels. I don't know why you cry, but it's something I can never do. Like it's so I hate to say it, but it's delivered with perfection from Arnie in that scene.
But the way, and again, the way it's directed,
yeah,
he says that as the camera is on John. Like it's a shared scene. I find it. I also find it beautiful.
That whole scene is about John because John finally found like a father guy, but now he knows he has to go, and he doesn't want him to go. For sure, it's the camera's locked on John because he's like, God, like you listen to me, like you're somebody I've grown to love in like 3 or 4 days. It's like, it's brilliant.
It is brilliant,
and it's
but
almost
again,
it kind of mimics what Alien 3 wanted to be, where it's like, oh, I'm going to drop myself into this thing, but nobody cares about me, so who the fuck cares?
But that's why I sort of give credence to the parallels between 1 and 2. Is that the first one? It says we were only together for one night, and yet we loved a lifetime's worth. And they reinforce in the second one that they were only together for a short time, but this machine was really this boy's father.
Well, yeah, that's because the whole time he was raised by his mom, he thought she was crazy. And then now that he finds out she's not crazy, or at the same time he meets this guy, this is the first real parental figure he actually likes, and he has to lose him already.
Yeah.
Very well done.
So how many 10 out of 10s do you give this movie, Kat?
10.
Ben?
10 CyberDyne.
Oh, it's a 10. It's a 10.
I give it 4 out of 10. I don't believe in the time travel mechanics. It doesn't make any sense. Because once they killed Skynet, then how would Kyle Reese come back from the future, Marty?
Where's Marty McFly and the Reservoir Dogs?
Yeah. So anyway, but no, in terms of the emotional, in terms of the production, in terms of the characters, in terms of the cinematography, in terms of everything that it takes to tell a compelling story that will suspend your disbelief, this is emotional, heartwarming, and human. I love it.
Yeah. To have an action movie that goes this hard with action, like balls to the wall action, and have the heart that it does, that's a huge feat. It's a huge.
Yeah, absolutely. It's on the pantheon of the best, in the trinity of the best action films ever made. It's up there.
No disagreement.
What are the other two?
Oh, the other two, I think Fury Road is up there as far as action, and
Nice.
Die Hard, the original Die Hard.
Huh?
Is an excellent action movie.
That's you know what? That's a conversation for another day. But I do like that this is in the top 3. That's a bold choice, and I respect it.
Yes. Oh, We must know what firearm I would prefer if I was a Terminator. Ooh. Well, I admit the bladed weapons of the T-1000 are really cool, but if it was a gun, I probably not the grenade launcher that Arnie uses to take out the T-1000, because even though that's cool, it's not as practical for close quarters combat. Probably, ooh, that's a good one. Maybe, well, a Gatling gun might be too big for a Terminator. Well, then again, I would prefer that if you want to take out the whole crowd. Otherwise, AR-15, something lightweight and fast.
What would Samuel L. Jackson say? If you absolutely, positively have to eliminate every motherfucker in the room.
Oh, then a revolver.
AK-47.
AK-47.
No substitute.
A good one, too. Go classic with that, yeah. Either AK-47 or, yeah.
I know that question was only aimed at you, Kat, but I think that it should extend to Scotty and I. Like,
of course.
Scotty, what?
After you, please.
Oh, okay. And I hate to say
I have my answer. I have it.
Well, I have my answer too, and I hate to say it because
yes, Eugene, too many.
This makes no sense. Like the TX and T3 makes no sense. It doesn't make sense as liquid metal, but it also has moving components and can create fire and guns. It doesn't make any sense, but that's okay. But I would love to have basically what Ripley creates, where she where she duct tapes like her sentry
flame unit,
not a sentry
M41.
gun, but her,
M41 pulse rifle.
Yeah, the pulse rifle and the fucking machine grenade launcher together. That's all you need right there.
Well, the grenade launcher's in the M41. You get the flame unit with duct tape.
Oh, I'm sorry. The flame unit. Yes. That to me is like the perfect. You have everything. You have flames, you have grenades, and you have
flames.
So but what about you, Scotty?
I'm just going with the lever action shotgun. I like the way he reloads it on the motorcycle. I think it is
it's so
compact.
I heard that was Schwarzenegger's idea too, to have it kind of flick back into his hands like that. That was
well, that's an old trick that John Wayne did.
Maybe it is. Yeah, I don't know, but I know that Arnie was like, "Let's have it go like you flip it in my hands, and
I'll juggle murder.
It'll be fantastic,
That's a good choice too. I do like shotguns.
Or close encounters, if you will.
Wes Kegel says Mossberg 500.
Is that a shotgun?
I
don't know. If you showed me a picture of a car, I would say it's a car. And then you'd be like, oh no. It's actually an Audi. And I'd be like, but yeah, is an Audi a car?
Even though
I don't know weapons.
And I are Americans, we don't know anything.
Yeah,
we don't know anything about guns.
Who the hell is Mossberg? And how did he live to 500? What is his skin regimen? So, yeah. True Grit. Yeah, no, Wes Kegel. Yeah, it's not a ripoff. It's an homage. Ooh, Wes Kegel says it's a shotgun with a pistol grip. Yeah, but that means it's pump action, and I like the lever action because you can do it one-handed when you're on a motorcycle and a horse, if you will. Pump. Yeah, no, I'm not into it. I don't want a Reebok shotgun. So,
or something
yeah,
like a pulse rifle or a chronoceptor.
So this movie is fucking brilliant. It's I mean, there's no question. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Should I wait to go have a pee and a cigarette, or are we winding down?
Oh, I think we're winding down.
Great, I can wait.
Oh, that's true, Eugene Bird. They hear you pump it, you are running the opposite direction. Absolutely.
Yeah. What, like the shoes?
Have a little air gun component to the rifle so that way you can blow off door locks surreptitiously as well.
Oh, yeah. No, I've seen those in movies.
Can I just say that the arcade scene reminded me so much of my childhood with being in the tilted world. I don't know if you guys had a tilt in your mall, in your local mall, but tilted world, like there's so many video games. You just sit in there and play. And I just love how Robert Pattinson's walking through. Not Robert Pattinson.
I was going to say, Edward.
Robert Patrick is like going through there, and then he meets the unsung hero of the film, which is the redheaded mullet kid. Yeah, because he doesn't give up his buddy. He does not give up his buddy.
He doesn't, and then you never see him again after that.
No, you never see him again. So
he doesn't even come back for a sequel.
He probably lived a great life and had women, wife and kids and all that stuff.
He went to juvie.
Wes Cagle says, then you need to get a semi-auto shotgun like a Benelli M4.
I don't want one. I don't want a pump action shotgun. I want a lever action shotgun. For Christmas. You brought it up. Don't get mad at me because I answered your damn question.
I'm getting mad at you.
The only weapon I have in my house is I have a hunting crossbow. I'm not a hunter. I would never, ever, ever shoot an animal in my life, but I have a crossbow. And if somebody comes into my house, I will shoot them with it.
And Target employees fear you.
I'll shoot them I'll shoot them in their calf. Because if you shoot them in their calf, they're done.
See, it's not a pump action, Scotty. It's a semi-auto, the Benelli M4.
That sounds good, but like if it's shotgun shell, then that would be like ridiculous recoil. I think my little shoulders would shatter.
You'd be surprised. Some of them don't have as bad a recoil.
Huh. That's a well-made firearm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm out of things to say, and I was promised that I could go and have a little cigarette. So I am so glad that you got to be here, Ben.
Thank you for inviting me. This is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And we are going to be talking about Star Trek 3, The Rise of the Machines next week.
Terminator 3, The Rise of the Machines.
Oh, damn it.
I wish there was a Star Trek.
Must everything go back to Star Trek with you, Scott?
You know what? I actually just fucked that up and ran with it.
That would have been a fun movie, though. Star Trek 3, Rise of the Machines. Like
I think they called it First Contact.
Yes. Rise of the Borg.
Yeah. Picard Season 3, Rise of the Machines. So, but also, I want to thank everyone who was hanging out in the chat. Obviously, if you would like first billing, super stickers are appreciated. So, Eugene Bird, it is always a pleasure to have you here. You contribute to the conversation, and you ensure that we maintain our ever increasing
Daniel's hot
elements.
Star Trek Nemesis rules.
Star Trek Nemesis does not rule.
Yeah.
Daniel, that's a difference of opinion that we share.
Ron Perlman,
yes. But thank you, Eugene Bird. Thank you, Slasher Fred. Thank you for hanging out for a bit. That's rad. It's great to see you. And Gundel Whittlebaum. It's always, oh man, dude, it's always so nice to see you. Lemon, you're fantastic.
Oh, Wes
you got some more money.
Oh, Wes Cagle, $5. Get out of here.
Awesome.
Hey, we got a Bravo with a little what they call them, Boshis. I don't know what Boshis, but it's like it looks like a little puppy. Thank you, Wes Cagle. Delicious.
Joe's
Thank you,
Atmosphere.
Herc130. Daniel's Hot Topics.
Canadian Spider-Man.
Canadian Spider-Man. Big ups to Canadian Spidey.
I want to say thanks to Canadian Spider-Man because he said some really nice things about my channel in the chat. So thank you, man. I appreciate it.
But Cinema Gulp was here, which was also really rad.
And he's here.
Oh, don't tell him I said anything. He'll think I like him. And then Joe's Atmosphere. Amazing. Thank you so much. And I think that is a Bushiba. That's a Bushiba. So now that it has been confirmed, we will be back next week. And we will be discussing, just in time for the holiday season, Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines. Cat?
Shotgun, Cyborgs, and CyberDynes. We will be back next week.
See, I was expecting you to just say, I'll be back.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Hasta la
I'll
vista,
be
baby.
back.
I'll be
I'll
back.
be back.